Well, one other thing that I want to share with you, just based on what you just said about the windows and the observation, is a question that Frances used to ask everyone she met. And she didn't ask you once. If she saw you again, she'd ask you again. So Frances asked me this question about every time I met with her. And the question is based on a statement that Peter Drucker made. He was interviewed by Forbes magazine, I believe it was, and the interviewer said to Peter, how do you always know what's going to happen in leadership or management? How, the founding father of modern management, this is Peter Drucker. How do you always know what's going to happen in management? 20 years out, you're predicting what's going to happen, and you end up being right. And Peter said, throwaway line. He says, I just look out the window and see what's visible, but not yet seen by others.
Wow. Frances
thought about that, and she had learned so much from Peter Drucker. One of the things that Peter Drucker said was, ask, don't tell. That is the responsibility of people and leaders. And so Frances turned his statement into a question that she would ask all of us, all of those with whom she met. And the question is, what do you see when you look out the window that's visible but not yet seen by others?
Wow.
So I'll ask you to think about that for yourself while I tell you a little bit more. The rest of the story, pretty simply, is I spent a couple of years formulating my answer, because the first time Frances asked me, I don't know. I think I just kind of stared at her dumbfounded and then said, I think there's an issue with communication in the world, and I think that would be great to do something about it. And she said, great answer. That's a beautiful answer. And she asked me a number of times after that, and every time my answer got more expletive. I was able to explain it better and better, what I see. And finally, I wrote it up into a letter for her birthday, gave it to her for her birthday, and she loved it. And then I said, I would love to find out what other people think. So what do you think about putting a book together, and we'll ask great thought leaders and government leaders and education leaders and private sector leaders what their answers are, nonprofit leaders, what their answers are to this question. And she said, oh, great. And I said, maybe we could involve Marshall. He could be the third editor. Wonderful. So we did. We asked all of these people to this question and what their answers were to this question, and asked them to write up their answers in an essay for our book, which the title of is Work is Love Made Visible. And wonderful book. So that's how that came about, was Frances's question, which was actually a statement by Peter Drucker. So now I'm going to ask you, what do you see when you look out the window that's visible but not yet seen by others?